Hello there, this is Adi, and today we're going to be learning about beginning JavaScript lesson 3. Alrighty, so first off, I know I can't really get an answer on this, but how are you guys doing? Hopefully I got some thumbs up and good. Okay, anyway, this is a schedule. You guys don't really need to know this because you're going to be online. So today we're going to go for reviewing some basic loop animation. First, wait a second. Oops. Alrighty, here's some review real quick. How can you make an object overlap another? Let's think about that. You can pause the video if you want to try and remember. And okay, that's enough pause. The answer is to use the no stroke function. The no stroke. If you use no stroke, it's going to remove all lines. You can overlap. The other question is how can you create and set a variable? Once again, you might want to pause. Okay, so you use the var, you type in var, and an example could be like var x equals to 5, where you set the variable x equal to the quantity 5. All right? Okay, let's go on. Okay, so now today's overview, we're going to be learning about basic loops and animation. But first, let's do some math with variables. When you see this, what do you think? X equals to x plus 6. What could that be? When I see it, I think of x. Let's just say, let's actually use the example that I used earlier where I said variable x equals to 5. So 5 equals to now 5 plus 6. That's a little strange to think about in terms of numbers. So let's just store 5 in x. And now let's say x equals to x plus 6. So we're kind of turning the x value, which was initially 5, into 5 plus 6, which is now 11. And this is called incrementing. I know it's a little strange to think about. And if you want, you can rewind this to kind of see how we did it. But yeah, this is called incrementing. This is how you can actually update the value of variables. And that's why variables are dynamic. And it goes the other way. This, on the other hand, is y equals to y minus 10. Let's say y equals to 25. Y equals to y minus 10. Actually, no. Sorry. Let's just use this. What if variable y equals 50? So now we say variable y equals 50, and then go to this line, y equals to y minus 10. So now y is not 50 anymore, it's 40. And we successfully decremented y. So when you add a value to an initial variable, so when you say like x equals to x plus 6 or y equals to y minus 10, it's called y plus 10, it's called incrementing. But then on the other hand, when you subtract, it's called decrementing. So that's some fun math, and we will, trust me, we will use this skill later today when it comes to animating. Okay, so here's a mini activity, and I'm going to give you some time to do this. You can pause the video if you want. We're going to name and create a variable, and then we're going to do exactly, we're going to do exactly what the previous slide says, where we're going to increment the value, and the value in this case is going to be 5. So yeah, why don't you guys, you know what, just pause the video, and then once you're done, you can unpause and we can resume. Okay, all right, so I assume that you guys did that mini task, and hopefully you guys got it. And yeah, now we're going to move on to the draw loop. So draw loops are like forever loops. So think back to Scratch, and yeah, Scratch, where you had a forever loop and you put some code in that and it would go on forever. So if you said forever, say hello, the cat would say hello forever. Or forever, move 10, Scratch the cat would move across the screen. So that's what we're going to kind of do today. So draw loops are like forever loops. They repeat constantly, and code inside the braces will be repeated. And we're actually going to be using our car. If you guys remember our car project, we're going to be using forever or draw loops in this new modified version of the car project. This allows for animation. So this is a really important loop that you guys should learn. Okay, so now we're going to animate the car. So why don't you guys open up your car project? I'll give you guys some time to do that. and we're going to make a variable named mover, and we're going to set it. Oh, oopsies. Sorry, guys. I kind of suck at this. And we're going to set it to 0. Then we're going to add the mover and replace our x parameters of our car shapes to move it. Because when you think about drawing the car, animating, it's kind of like making the car a bunch of times. And doing that manually without a loop would take forever. It would be like super inefficient. You need like thousands of lines of code to just make the car move across the screen. Maybe not thousands, but a lot, trust me. So by simply putting the mover variable inside and all the drawing methods inside a draw loop, a forever loop, you can make it so that the draw loop constantly redraws the car and makes it so that the car moves across the screen. Because that's essentially animation. And then we're going to use our skills of incrementing to change the mover by some amount at the end of the loop. So I'm going to give you guys some time to do that. And let's circle back if you guys have any issues. Okay. I'm going to give you guys a little bit more time to catch up. But hopefully, if you've gotten here, you've been able to make an attempt on the car project by making your variable mover. This is a solution for it, so we're gonna go step by step and review everything that the wonderful person who made this code. I don't know how to. Oh, it was just made by. Okay, all right, Sang examples. So thank you to them. But this is how they did it. So they first did no stroke. That's just a style preference. So it makes it so that, the shapes have no lines on them. And then they declared this variable mover. They set it to 0. So at the moment, mover does nothing. Then they make their draw loop. Variable draw equals function. That's how you make the loop. Then they set their background. They make the car body. But something strange that I noticed is that instead of having an X value for their rect for the car body, also I love how they made comments here. That's a great thing. It makes it really simple to understand. But instead of having an X coordinate for the rectangle, they have mover and they subtract 20 from it. But mover is 0. So, okay, doesn't really seem like it's doing anything. They put mover again for the other rectangle. And you know what? Let me start this off. As you can see, it is moving across the screen. This is not magic. It is doing it. And they put mover again. So it seems like mover is constant. Does anyone have an idea of what might be going on? Pause the video. Yeah, if you're stuck or anything. Or if you got it, you got it. Good job. And then for the car wheels, we make them black. And then we put mover again. So it seems like this mover variable is a constant among all the shapes in terms of their X value. And I think the most important thing is that we make it so that we change or we increment mover. That means that the car is going to be constantly moving because the mover variable is constantly updated, which means that the X value for each of the rectangular components or circular components of the car is also updated. So that makes it so that the car appears to be moving across the screen. So I think that's pretty incredible. And yeah, you can rewind this, and if you have any questions, yeah, rewind it. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go back. So let me just do slideshow again. Okay, so we made our variable mover and we set it to 0. We did all this. Okay, so yeah, these are some questions you could ask yourself. Why is all the car code in the loop? Why is the background code inside the loop at the top? How do I make the car move backwards? That's an interesting one. If it's moving positively in the X direction, is there a way that we can make it move negatively in the X direction? Also, how do I make the car move faster? So hopefully you've gotten a chance to get all that code down, and I'd really encourage you to experiment and apply all these questions to the code and see if you can get this. All right, if you're finished early, you can make another variable so your car can go up and down rather than left and right. So, or you can make your car accelerate across the screen. So that's going to be a cool one. So when we think about up and down, this might be a little review. If you go back to lesson 1, which was done very well, if you go up and down, you're changing the y values. So perhaps you could make it so that you make a mover y. I know it's not the most creative name, but a mover y could be a possible variable, and use mover y to toggle the y values for each of the shapes. That could be a possibility. And to make the car accelerate across the screen. So if we're only changing the mover by 1, it doesn't seem like it would be moving as quick. So maybe we have to change it by a greater value. These are just some things to consider. And yeah. Okay. All right. You know what? Let's take a quick stretch break. You guys have been champs so far. It's always good to get a stretch break in. Okay. So now we're going to move on to our next activity, which is mouse X and mouse Y. So our goal is to have a rectangle that follows the mouse. It'll change its colors depending on where that is. So first, let's review, or not review, let's introduce this. So mouse X is going to be the numerical X value of your mouse. So think of mouse X as this thing that continuously tracks your mouse, and it constantly has data on where your mouse is on your screen. It's kind of insane if you think about it. Mouse Y, on the other hand, well, if you know what mouse X is, it's pretty easy to know what mouse Y is. It calculates the Y position or the Y value of your mouse. All right. So now we're going to apply mouse X and mouse Y to fill. So this is just a fill red, green, blue. But now we want to fill mouse X, mouse Y, comma blue. This means that if you're going extremely right, if you're moving your mouse to the right part of the screen, that means that the red value, which is now mouse X, is going to be extremely high. So you'd expect to see a more reddish color. On the other hand, if you moved your mouse extremely high, you would see a green color because the green value in the RGB, it correlates to mouse Y. So that kind of shows how it's constantly changing depending on where you move your mouse. It's kind of like a chameleon. And if we can use it with rectangles too. Rectangle X comma Y width, it takes in 4 parameters, X, Y, width, and length. So we can replace the X and the Y parameters with mouse X and mouse Y. This means that the rectangle will have to follow your mouse wherever it goes in order to satisfy the X and the Y coordinates. The width and the length stay the same, but the X and the Y change. So you could actually type this code on your computer right now in Khan Academy and see that you will actually have a super cool rectangle that follows you around and also changes color. So, yeah. Oh, okay, wait. Well, you guys have already seen it. So, yeah, hopefully you guys did this and you put it in your draw function and you made a fill mouse X, mouse Y. This is just a number for the blue value. The 242 is for the blue value. Then you made a rectangle with mouse X and mouse Y and 5, 5. So this is actually a square. My bad. And this code basically means that as you move across the screen, the color will change as well as the location of the rectangle. So it's kind of like a little pet that follows you around. And here's another note. You can change the values around the blue value, the width and the length, and add no stroke to make it as cool as you want. So yeah, I totally encourage you to change the blue value, to change the width and the length, and maybe you can just get some wonky shapes. Who knows? So yeah. Okay. So now here's some extra projects. Maybe you want to combine your knowledge of mouse X and mouse Y to change the color of your car. And I already mentioned this. You can make your car go backwards. You can make your car move up and down by itself too. Here's another cool one. This one is super cool. Yeah, you can draw a sun and make it move across the sky. That would be insane. And maybe even have the sun like change color. So here are just some extra projects. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna do some recap questions now. Take a minute and try to answer these. What is a variable? Okay. Hopefully you thought about this. So a variable is just anything that can store a quantity or a string. So for example, let me just say, okay, I'm reading this book right here. So let's just say this book, variable B, stores 5. So this book is 5 now. I just said this. A variable can be anything. You can say what it can be, anything you want it to be. Okay, so now how do you use comments? And also why? Why do we use and how do we use? Okay, so hopefully you guys understood this. So we use comments to detail our work, to give a clear picture of what's going on. It's absolutely important to use comments because even if you know what's going on, if other people want to try your stuff, they might get a little confused because first of all, code is pretty tough. So if you don't know exactly what is going on, it can be a little tough to understand. And we use comments by, or we can properly use comments by using the double slash method, and that allows us to write any comments that we want. Okay, this is one. How do you change the value of x in a loop? Okay, so you change the value of x by incrementing it or decrementing it. And this is by updating its value inside a loop by saying, for example, x equals to x plus 5 at the end of a loop, or x equals to x minus 10. All right. Last one, what is a draw loop and how can we use it to make the car move? So what is a draw loop? Wait, I'll let you guys answer that. Okay, so a draw loop is like a forever loop, and it essentially repeats something over and over again. And we use the draw loop to make the car move by constantly redrawing the car inside the draw loop. We use a variable like mover, if you remember our car project, and we constantly update the x coordinates of each of the components of the car. This gives the illusion that the car is moving across the screen, when in theory we're just drawing it over and over again. So that's how we use the draw loop to make the car move. This would have been very tough, by the way, if we did not have the draw loop. So, yeah. Okay, so in conclusion, you guys learned how to animate, which is extremely cool. Animation is one of the coolest aspects of coding, and hopefully you guys learned something new today. All right. Thank you guys. This is Adi, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.